Welcome to a very special pre-show. Gather round.
It is so special, I hardly know what to do with myself. That's how special it is. Do you know what I did when I woke up this morning?
What you do?
I went down to the Dunkin' and I had a pumpkin spice latte and a glazed donut.
Oh, wow.
That's right. Autumn is here in New England, gang.
That just actually reminded me of. I didn't plan to read this, but I'm going to read this now that you've said this because this is really important. This is a concern from a particular patron, a very prominent patron, very prestigious patron. Um,
Ooh.
let's see, Vendée Radio. He
Ah.
says, Dear Charles, I recently heard a rumor that a well-known traditional Catholic monarchist writer, while visiting Vienna, home to some of the very best coffee houses in the world, chose to eschew these forms of refreshment and instead made his way straight to a well-known, quote-unquote, woke, American, globo homo mega corporation for a so-called pumpkin spiced latte. Please, can you share your thoughts?
Well, obviously, anyone who would do that is above contempt. Notice I don't say beneath. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like Robo Homo, et cetera, any more than anyone else does. But sometimes one has to have a pumpkin spice latte. It just, and anyway, this wasn't from Amazon in the Josefsplatz in Vienna, like that other guy that Van Day was talking about. This was at a Dunkin' in the beautiful, slightly inbred town of Winchester, New Hampshire, which I've got to tell you, it was very good. And it's autumn in New England. I can't stress enough what it's like seeing the leaves turning to gold and red and salmon and oh my heavens. And it's not anywhere near the height yet. Now, unfortunately, I won't be here for the height. But even this far, and of course, every house is decorated with corn shocks and scarecrows and pumpkins and oh, it's a New England autumn. And if that weren't bad enough, I had lunch at the Arlington Inn in beautiful Winchester, and I got to tell you, nothing. There are two kinds of restaurants I love more than any other. One is either real or faux, ye oldie colonially taverny, and the other are red leather banquettes, dark wood, neon signs saying steak, seafood, cocktails.
Mm.
These are my two very favorite kinds of restaurants. I like a lot of others, don't get me wrong, but those are my two favorite. If I had a really clearly defined ethnic group, that would be it.
Nice. I've been to the latter many times, and I would agree that's up there. I haven't had the opportunity to go to the former, other than Colonial Kitchen and maybe a couple over here. Are there a couple more of things like that in California?
Uh, the Colonial Kitchen
It,
is the best,
yeah.
but the Jolly Jug is a little bit like that in El Monte.
Yeah. Okay, I've never
Uh,
been there. I've seen it. It acts like it's a historical place, but I've never been there.
well, it obviously it can't really be historical because it's SoCal.
Yeah.
The only way it could be historical is if they had California cuisine.
I thought it said it had. I mean, it had some line where it says something like Southern California's most honored sandwiches or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not the same as ancient history.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're glad you're having a good time over there in New England. And thank you for doing the show. I know this is a huge inconvenience, but everybody's I think I can speak for everyone when I say we're very grateful.
Well, I'm grateful to have an audience. So I mean, I didn't honestly, I didn't like the idea. We're going to go through the same thing next week in Dallas,
Ah,
and if it doesn't work there, I didn't like the idea of going 2 weeks without.
right, right.
So if things go well, then we won't miss a week. We'll
Perfect.
do it here. We'll do it in Dallas. So
Okay.
uh, the name of an old film about Dallas comes to mind, but I'm not going to repeat it. I'm too nice.
Hmm. Do you need a hookup for Wi-Fi or something in Dallas? Do you have any arrangements? Anybody in mind? You need a fan to help you out?
No, no, I think I'll be able to get it out of the people putting the conference together. I hope
Okay.
so anyway,
Okay, great.
but we'll find out. The Of course, offers of cash are always welcome from fans anywhere.
I'm glad you're kind of announcing that beforehand in Dallas because I feel like our new epicenter for Tumbler House in terms of fans is Texas. So did you want to maybe we'll do it on the main show if you want to announce what's happening in a week if anyone wants to attend? Is that possible or
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, that's quite possible. I don't know if there are any places left, but because it's often sold out kind of quick.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Let's go through the questions. And who better to start off with than Andrew from New Jersey? That's what I always say. Um, all right.
Well, listen, I'm going to be seeing Andrew from New Jersey tomorrow and meeting my godson for the first time.
I tell you,
And you know
ladies,
where we're meeting?
where are you meeting?
The Paramus Mall.
I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm at the office. I'm in the middle of work. I see a call from Charles. Charles never calls me during work hours, very rarely. I run out and he, assuming something quite urgent, and he said, Vinny, guess where I am? It's like, I don't know. Where are you? He says, the Paramus Mall. I was like, are you serious? Are you serious?
You felt you had to call me for the Paramus Mall? I said, yes.
Oh
It was
man.
very important that you knew that I had made contact with an important leitmotif in our series.
An important leitmotif. I don't even know
Now,
what
the
that means.
downside is that I was not clutching a Callahan's hot dog while I was talking to you.
Oh, okay. That's. Did you have Callahan's on your trip there?
Not yet, but I may do it. I may do it tomorrow or Monday.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm so excited for you.
I don't blame you. The only thing more exciting is if I was going to Fall River or New Bedford for a chow mein sandwich, but that's not in the itinerary.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You look
Yes.
unimpressed.
Uh
You look unimpressed.
it's okay to be unimpressed, you know? I mean, it's okay.
I'd like to see that as a bumper sticker. It's okay to be unimpressed. I think that would sell. That should be some of our merch.
That
It's
should
okay to be unimpressed.
That's very
I
on
think
brand,
there are a
actually.
lot of people. What's what?
That would be very on brand with Tumblr House.
Oh yeah, I would think so, and also it would be liberating for thousands, perhaps millions of people across the planet.
That's true.
You don't have to be impressed.
I tell you what, I'm actually seriously considering that. Patrons, if you guys are interested in that, let me know, and then I'll try to see if we can get that on a T-shirt or something. or a bumper
That would
sticker.
be good.
Yeah. Okay. All
It's
right.
okay to be unimpressed.
That's our message. That's your gospel to the world.
Yeah, it's a response to all the garbage. COVID, Ukraine. Yeah, great. Thanks to heat. So what? Go away. It's just our way of telling everybody to buzz off. You don't understand. This is very important. Yeah, sure, whatever.
All right. Okay. So, question from Andrew, who says, "Hello, Vincent and Charles. Just a simple question that came to mind as I just saw a trailer on YouTube for a new movie based on the World War One novel All Quiet on the Western Front. I am simply wondering Charles's thoughts on the novel. It does shine a light on the horrors of World War One, which is commendable. However, like much of the 20th century's art and literature, there is no light in the darkness. Everything is just horrible, and all suffering is for nothing. Please, Charles, am I off base with my assessment? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this work of literature."
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that there is no hope, but that in itself, in the novel, I mean, not in real life, uh, but that in its sense, how do I put this? It's a cautionary tale. In other words, I'll put it another way. Um, Take H.P. Lovecraft, for instance. Now, the center of his horror was that we live in a dreadful universe where there is no real good or evil, and man is unimportant anyway. Now, I don't believe that, and I don't find it frightening because I don't believe it. But it is a depiction of the world that most modern people live in between their ears. And that is horrifying. Well, similarly, the bleak despair of All Quiet on the Western Front is the bleak despair of modernity. And the artistry of the novel comes from its accuracy in reflecting that horrible despair. To put this another way, objectively speaking, Lord of the Rings is actually more realistic than All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay.
But All Quiet on the Western Front is a much better depiction subjectively of the modern mind. Does that make sense?
I think so. I'm really interested to read this now. Who wrote this? Is this Hemingway?
I'm sorry?
Who wrote this? Is this Hemingway?
Eric Maria Remarque.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
No, I asked if it was Hemingway. Okay.
No, it was written by Eric Maria Remarque, who was an Alsatian, if I remember.
I see.
So, in other words, he was from the part of France that was annexed by Germany.
Okay.
Where they were German speakers, but considered themselves French.
I see. I feel like perhaps the theme jives with your worldview in a sense too, because I'm kind of remembering some of your critiques of perhaps World War II in terms of fighting for freedom and sort of compared to fighting for the faith or something else. And
no,
I mean, is there a redeeming quality to war? Should there be a light at the? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting at, but I feel like in the context of World War I or World War II, was there a light at the end of the tunnel, or was it just like I don't know what I'm getting at, but it seems like the world has. It's based on your worldview. The entire 20th century is a function of those wars and all the bad that came from the 20th century.
Well, there's a lot of truth to it, but Let's put it this way. Neither war was really fought for anything wonderful.
Right.
I mean, yeah, the Nazis were evil. Yes, Pearl Harbor had to be addressed. Yes, the Soviets were horrible. That's all true. But the results were abysmal. And whereas you could find a certain amount of justification in World War II would not have come about if it had not been for the way World War I ended. And World War I itself, World War I itself came about because the war party in each of the major powers became dominant, and something happened that each of them exploded. You know, there was a war party in Britain that wanted to keep Germany from challenging her naval and colonial superiority. There was a war party in Germany that wanted to challenge Britain's imperial and naval superiority. There was a war party in Austria-Hungary that wanted to go into the Balkans. There was a war party in Russia that wanted to unite the Slavs. There was a war party in Italy that wanted to retake all the parts of Austria-Hungary that were Italian-speaking or that had been Italian. There was a war party in France that wanted to retake Alsace-Lorraine. And each country of the major powers had its own war party. And more than having those specific goals I've outlined, they saw it as a way of distracting the population from internal issues, which varied from country to country. Now, to be fair, each of those countries also had a peace party, which believed that war was going to be worse than anything else. Unfortunately, because of the way things worked out, by August of 1914, the war party was dominant in each one of them. And they all got what they wanted. Ha, 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 ha. What they wanted, of course, destroyed the world they knew. This is the problem, you see, with going to war. You may think you know what's going to happen, but you don't. Which is why you've got to be very, very careful about going to war. It's one thing if you're outright attacked. That's an easy question. But if you're not, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to get into it? I mean, I wouldn't agree with I forget who it was who said it now. Maybe it was Benjamin Franklin, I think. There never was a good war or a bad peace. I don't believe that to be completely true, but it's not entirely false either. You really need to think very, very carefully. I mean, the Ukrainian thing is a case in point. I've been attacked for not being sufficiently pro or anti-Russian or Ukrainian. Well, partly it's because I don't feel confident in coming down on one side or the other, to be honest. But it's also because I really do not trust the wisdom of the leaders in any country involved. I really don't. I don't. I don't trust Putin. I don't trust Biden. I don't trust Zelensky. All I know for sure is that Ukrainians and Russians are dying. That part I know. The rest of it, I don't claim to know. And should we arm the Ukrainians to the teeth for the purpose of defeating the Russians completely? Well, the Azerbaijanis attacked Armenia, I think, because they no longer believe the Russians have the ability to enforce the peace in the Caucasus. This is what we call an unexpected outcome, a collateral issue. I don't think when he started the thing that Putin thought he would be so involved with it that he couldn't keep the Caucasus quiet. Nor do I think that the Americans, the European allies, the Ukrainians are really too much concerned about Russia's ability to function in areas where the rest of us can't. Uh, you hear a lot of people say, well, we need a week to stabilize Russia. Well, that's going to have all sorts of unexpected byproducts, the way a Russian victory would. You've got other people saying, well, really, you just need Russia to dominate Ukraine. Well, that would have other results that people might not like. Anytime you accept the status quo, you open up the door for all kinds of things. And World War I is the best example of that. Everybody thought the war would be over by Christmas and we're all going to win. But of course, everybody can't win, and the war wasn't over by Christmas. And 4 years and piles of bodies later, what you had was an opening for worse wars to come. Rah, rah, rah. So, bringing it back to All Quiet on the Western Front, it had every right to be bleak and dark and hopeless. Because you know what? Without God, without the faith, the human condition is bleak, dark, and hopeless. That's what it is. If there is no God and there is no afterlife, then this is as good as it gets. That's pretty horrible, if you ask me.
Okay. Also, for anyone who wants an even more in-depth opinion of from Charles on World War One, I think that was one of the first 50 episodes. I think where I remember a fan, Jonathan, had sent in like 8 really good questions on World War One that really handled in a lot of the nuances of it that were interesting and relevant. So I think if you look on our channel and you just search World War One, it'll come up for you. All right. Bunch of questions from Helvicio. Are you ready? All right. Sorry about the internet connection issues today, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the best we can do. Okay. First question. There's a Croatian flag behind Charles in the background. Assuming in your
No, there isn't.
No, there isn't today. There is not
there
today.
isn't.
All right, next question.
You're lying.
No. But he never talks about Croatia. Has he ever been there? What makes the country interesting?
Well, that's a good question. I have been there several times. It's a wonderful country. I have a lot of friends in Zagreb, the capital. Croatia, primarily Catholic Slavic country. They had a few before Vatican II, and it's reviving. They had a few interesting areas where the Tridentine Mass was said not Latin, but in Church Slavonic, in Stavroslav. And it was written in a unique and bizarre alphabet called Glagolitic. How do you like that, Glagolitic?
Wow.
And did you catch that? Because you're fading in and out on me, picture-wise.
I got that. I got that fancy word. Yep.
All right. So the thing about Croatia was that it was early on a kingdom, as early as the 900s. And then it united with Hungary in a sort of dual monarchy. So the king of Hungary became king of Croatia. And then when the Habsburgs became kings of Hungary, they became kings of Croatia. In 1867, Hungary and Austria became the dual monarchy of Austria-Hungary. And the way the arrangement was declared, was that Croatia is to Hungary as Hungary is to Austria. But there were large areas, Dalmatia, Slavonia, that were not part of Croatia. So the idea was floated that Croatia should become an independent kingdom encompassing the territories in Austria, like Dalmatia, and an equal partner with Hungary and Austria. Now, the great block to this, of course, was some of the Hungarian leadership. And they were even more embittered by the fact that in 1848, when Kossuth revolted against the Habsburgs, the Croats rallied to them. So in 1867, as I say, you have the Ausgleich, the Austria-Hungary thing. The Croatians kept pushing for this equal status. They could only achieve it, though, literally a week or two before World War I ended and the monarchy collapsed. Nevertheless, on October 23rd, I believe, 1918, Croatia, united with Dalmatia and Slavonia, and Bosnia, I think, Bosnia-Herzegovina, became an independent, equal independent kingdom within the empire. And that decree was sent out to all the major cities in the new kingdom of Croatia, the flag of which you see behind me, you would see if I were at home. But when Croatia was incorporated shortly after into Yugoslavia, they destroyed every copy of the decree they could find. But in recent years, it was found by a friend of mine in the last place you'd expect, the city archives of Sarajevo in Bosnia. They never thought to look there. So that's what happened. And then almost immediately after it was incorporated into Yugoslavia, Croatia began having difficulties with the Serbs who dominated Yugoslavia. Croatian nationalism became a big thing. And then in 1940, Germany and the other Axis powers invaded Yugoslavia, which shatters. Croatia becomes a client state of Italy and a kingdom again under an Italian prince who takes the name Tomislav III. Well, that lasts until 1933. The dominant party in the kingdom of Croatia was called the Ustashi. And they were led by a man named Ante Pavelic, who took the title of Poglavnik. How would you like to be a Poglavnik, Vinny?
I don't know what that means. Probably.
It means Duce.
Nice. Sign me up.
Duce. It means leader. What's that?
Sign me up.
All right. Yeah, all right. You can be Poglavnik of Arcadia. That'd be great. So at any rate, at the same time, there were all sorts of fights with the Serbians, the Chetniks, atrocities on this side and that side. But Cardinal Aloysius Stepinac was the saintly Archbishop of Zagreb at the time. So World War II ends. The communists take over the reunited Yugoslavia. Cardinal Stepinac is persecuted and given a kangaroo trial and so forth, like Mindszenty in Hungary, like Brown in Prague. You know, the usual thing. And Croatia basically sits under Yugoslav rule until the country broke up in 1991 after the fall of the Soviet Union. Then there is a brief and nasty civil war with the Serbs. And eventually the result is the independent Croatia we have today.
All right. You're on a roll today, Charles. It must be because we're doing the show so early. Now you've got all this pep. You've got these answers are so robust now. Before it was.
I'm in New England. It's autumn.
Yeah, this is
I can
wonderful.
feel the crisp air, October's bright blue weather. And
Oh,
tomorrow, I'm taking a couple of friends out to Sudbury, Mass, to have lunch at the Wayside Inn.
oh, your
And when I'm
favorite.
done with them, I'm what's what?
Your favorite, the
Yes,
Wayside
it's
Inn.
my
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
Indeed, as ancient as this hostelry as any in the land may be, built in the old colonial day when man lived in a grander way. And then when I'm done, I'm going to turn around, go back almost to Jersey. On the other side of the Hudson, depending on the time, I may drive through Sleepy Hollow and see the old Dutch church and Ichabod's Bridge and all that. And then go to the other side of the Hudson to Tappan, New York, to meet other friends, including Andrew from New Jersey, at the 76 House, which was Major Andre's prison, an old colonial tavern. So from one colonial tavern to the next, I'll tell you what, by the time we're done, I'm going to be in knee breeches, buckled shoes, lace at the throat, tri-cornered hat, wig. I'll be a real old Tory.
All
It'll be
right.
great.
All right, we are super short on time. We're shooting for about 30 minutes on the pre-show, so that's all we have time for the pre-show. So, because Charles is
Stick around.
at an event, but stick around.
Ciao.